Hello everybody, it's Mary with Stamps-N-Lingers, and it is 1 o'clock on Thursday, which means time for a YouTube video. I'm just going to double check that I'm actually transmitilating over here. So let's just do that first. Otherwise it's kind of silly, right? Doing it to just dead space, that's no good. Alright, let's see. Yes, it looks like I am. I have a notice. I am now live on my channel. Huh. Who knew? Alrighty, there we go. Hey Marva, appreciate you coming, and Lorraine, thank you so much. Hey Rosie. Alright, so here is our card for today. It's a sneak peek of two new things. The first is the Fragrant Forest background stamp. So all of these are going to be available on the 6th of September in the September to December 2023 mini catalog. If you don't have a catalog and you're not working with somebody and you would like to have a catalog and would like to be my customer, please drop me a line at Stamps-N-Lingers@comcast.net, and I will be happy to drop the winter catalog in the mail to you. Okay, so we have Fragrant Forest, which is a background stamp, and then I have Winter Owls, which is a really cool new bundle, and I'm going to show you how to put together this most beauteous owl, because he is most beauteous. Hey everybody, hi Debbie and Faith and Vicky and Linda and Amy and everybody, all the everybody's. Alrighty, okay, so let's go ahead and get started. This will all be on my blog tomorrow. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do this background stamp. I don't know if you can see it here, but I have done the Fragrant Forest background stamp in craft white ink on this Mossy Meadow panel. All right, and the craft white, like any of the really saturated things, and especially the thicker inks, it takes it a hot second to dry. So we want to give it enough time to do that, which means I don't know why all of a sudden my ink pads are all gone. My ink pads are all gone. I had them out. That was the problem. There we go. I was too organized entirely. Okay, so when I do a background stamp, I do it with the stamp on the largest of the acrylic blocks, and I do it upside down. So it is rubber up, and I'm going to ink the stamp with my craft white, and you want to get a goodly amount on it. And I don't even bother worrying about where my panel is going to go. It's a little bit bigger than the cardstock panel, and that's fine. Okay, so once I get that on, I'm going to close this so I don't stick my big hand in there. Okay, now I'm going to take my panel of Mossy Meadow, and I want to put it right in the middle, and I want to just lay it down as flat and as unmoving as I possibly can. Now, I then take a piece of printer paper and put over the top, because I'm going to use this little tool called a Stampendable. Could probably get it on Amazon. I was lucky enough to be gifted it. But then I'm just going to put my fingers in the center to hold everything in place and rub all over. This is a very handy little tool right here. And by putting the printer paper over it, I'm not getting ink on my tool. This is like a little bit of felt, kind of a soft felt. So I try not to get ink on it if I can help it. All right, once I think I have everything done. Hey, Mallory, appreciate that. I know, right? I'm gonna pick it up, and then we're going to pick up this piece and see that we have a nice image. We've got color everywhere, and now I'm going to just set this aside, okay? Because it is still wet. That white takes a minute to dry. If I wanted to, I could use the low setting on my heat tool to hurry it along, but I have time, so I'm going to just set it aside to dry, and hopefully I won't stick my big hand in it. And I'm going to put this aside because we're done with it. Now, to make the owl, you're going to use these three pieces of the die set. There's the body and one set of wings, and then you have his like auxiliary wings. Let's turn him over and you can kind of see how it's all going to work here. Auxiliary wings. What's interesting is these two, they will only attach to the body one direction to be on correctly, okay? So it'll be really, really easy to see how it is. But when you cut those out, you're going to get a body with the wings and then two auxiliary wings, like this. That's what I'm pretty sure they're called, is the auxiliary wings. Yeah, it could be. That could be the name. Nobody knows for sure. Stampin' is available on Amazon. Yes, it is a really, really, really handy tool. Thank you, Kathy Fennell, for sending it to me a couple of years ago for my birthday. That was awesome. All right, now, before I get going here, I'm going to punch out these little doohickeys. These little guys didn't come out, so I'm just punching them. And I am going to take some Pebbled Path ink and a blender brush that doesn't really, it's kind of stained, but it's not transferring any color. And I am going to very gently, now you know what, did I use a blender brush or did I use a dauber? You know what, I used a dauber. Hang on, let me get my daubers out just a minute, because that'll be a lot easier. Oh, my brain is saying, this isn't feeling right. It doesn't feel right, Mary. Fix it. It's not right, Mary. Fix it. And I remember that I did it because I had to make a new, yes, I had to write my new label for my dauber. Okay, so there we go. Here we go. Yes, that is exactly how that works. Now, what I'm going to do, use a professional hockey puck with a circle of Dr. That works too. There you go. Do hockey pucks have handles? I don't even know. All right, so I'm just going to dip in there and then I'm going to rub off most of the ink, okay? Because it's a lot easier to put ink on afterwards than it is to take it off. Okay, so I'm just touching the very edges of the trailing edge of his wing. Just like that. And we'll do the same on the other side. Got a little there, that's all right. We'll just make it look like we meant to do that. Put a little over there. All right, so all we're doing is kind of turning him into what I think is a snowy owl. I made that up. I just made that up. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, though. Pretty sure. And you can just kind of add color until you are done with it, until you're happy. And put a little bit on his tail feathers. I don't actually know if snowy owls would have tail feather coloring, but this one does. This one does. You know, I do try to make my birds kind of realistic, but at the end of the day, it's cardstock and ink, people. It's cardstock and ink, so don't get too hit. Okay, so there's that guy. And then I'm going to take and do the same thing on the trailing edge of each of these little auxiliary wings. Now, truth in crafting. The first one I did had much less ink on the dauber, and in a way I like it better. So, you know, maybe I would have, if I was making another one of these, if I had another one in the wings, I would do this again, but with much less ink on my dauber, just so. Oh, I know what it is. This is a young one. This is a young one. Okay. Oh, y'all read the PSA, the public service announcement that Rosie just posted. I will not be going live next Thursday because I'll be in Las Vegas for our Stampin' Up! Leaders event. And I will also not be going live on Saturday evening because why? Because I'll still be in Las Vegas at a Stampin' Up! Leaders event. All right, so Thursday and Saturday, you will not have to listen to my goofiness. But I will be back the following week. Okay, so there's that, and I'm going to stop there. Didn't need a handle. Okay. Well, good to know. Thank you. All right, now, to assemble Mr. Owl, I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue. I am certain it will be great, Stephanie. I'm also certain that the air conditioning had better be working good at the Red Rock Casino in Las Vegas. But here's a fun thing. I am meeting a few of my customers for lunch/dinner/dinner Linner. You see, if brunch is breakfast and lunch, then Linner is lunch and dinner. So some combination. Amy and I are going to meet them on Thursday, so that's going to be fun. Now, what I am doing here is I'm just putting a little liquid glue. Please also notice, this is right side up. This is upside down. You want to put the glue on the top right side up part, okay? And you don't need a lot. I think I've mentioned the fact that liquid glue goes a long way, so you don't need a ton. You just want to kind of spread it on there. Take your time, it'll get there. Even if you're doing a video where you would prefer it to just work perfectly, and if you have breakfast for dinner, it's called Brinner. I love it. I love it, Brinner. Well, I did see some interesting things on the menu that could certainly pass as breakfast, so maybe I will be having Brinner. Okay. Brinner. Oh, come on out of there now. Any other time it would come perfectly. Okay, so I have my glue on there. And I'm going to just adhere that wing to the trailing edge of the main wing. Okay? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Isn't that fun? I call that Lupper, lunch and supper. There you go. Oh, Jean, yes, you may have to come up with your own card design. I'm sorry. Oh, good Lord. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to say this. It has really very little to do with the glue and a lot to do with the fact that I'm going to have to break down and start using some kind of pair of glasses, I fear, when I craft, because I can't see diddly or squat sometimes. All right. Now you can see that this wing is obviously on this side, right? So you really can't mess them up. I mean, you can, but afterwards you'd be like, that is not right. That is so not right. Okay, so there they are. I'm just going to set him aside to dry. Why don't they make one big die, one piece? Because you could cut this out in white and cut this out in silver, like for a Christmas card. Or you could do mixed metals. You could do different colors of them. That's why. I think it would be, this is fun too. I kind of enjoy this. Once I figured it out, I was like, oh yes, that's awesome. Okay, now I believe our background is dry. So let's go ahead and adhere it to a piece of pebbled path. Thank you, Sharon. You gave me the idea for the shading, so I appreciate that. This is what it looks like if you don't shade. Here, hang on. So here's not shade, shade. So you can do either one, okay? Just saying, just throwing that out there. Oh, I should keep that one because that's the one I'm using. Okay, pick this up, pick this up, pick this up. Okay, so we're matting this on pebbled path. This would be, I think this is a nice masculine card if you needed a masculine card. Okay? All right, now, I have some pieces of very beautiful Winter Meadow DSP. I've cut a couple of different pieces here. I've got a piece that, I've got two of these. I'm going to show you a little trick I discovered, kind of by accident, but I'm going to repeat it because it worked really good. I liked it. So it was one of those happy oopsies. This is pebbled path paper. You can see that this was the other side of it. And I am going to, this is going to be a placekeeper. I discovered this by inadvertently putting my sentiment on before I put my twine on. And I did all sorts of manipulations trying to make that work, and it didn't. And then it didn't want to come up. And so I just left it, and I thought, well, it's just DSP. It's very thin. It's really not adding a lot. I'm not using a mat, so okay. So then it turned out that that worked out perfectly to give me a kind of a guide as to where to put everything. So I'm going to put one piece down, straight up, just like that, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment on it. And why am I doing that? Because it's going to help me line every single thing up. It really is helpful. Now, this Warm Wishes is a stamp set from Winter Owl. I'm sorry, it's a sentiment from Winter Owl. Oh, and I'm going to put it where I believe I'm going to put the final one, okay? And I would just warn you ahead of time, also be sure you are double checking your alignment by stamping on your grid paper first. I did that earlier because I've made this a few times. Hey, Julie. And you want to just double check, because what? The how this lines up matters. It depends on how well you put the sticker on and how good a job they did engraving it straight on the rubber. Okay, so always check that, even if you're used to the die. Okay, so I have my guide in place. Next up, I'm going to put another strip of the DSP, and I'm going to just snip it off right there. It's 3/8 of an inch wide. And I just want to make it a little bit, you're never going to see it, so it really doesn't matter. We want it to just barely extend past the end, like so. Okay? And remember, this is a guide. This is going to be covered up. All right? Do you have to do the guide? No. Does it help you? Yes, I promise it does. I promise. I promise. Hey, Danette, I'm glad you were able to come to join us. Okay, so let's put that there like that. And then I'm going to use a little bit of Stampin' Seal. Right about here. So why did I put this? Because now I can kind of go, okay, well, this guy is going to sit right there. And so right about there is where I want my twine to be. So I'm going to put a little bit of Stampin' Seal. And this is the 2023-25 in color jute trim. And we're going to do a little bit of straightening here because it's really curly. It's really curly. Thanks, Danette. Hello, Mallory. Yes, I agree. The shading is perfect. Good job, Sharon, making me do that. And then my friend Julie confirmed that shaded was better, and so I was ready to go. Okay, so now I'm just going to make like a little loop-de-doop-de here. And you can kind of let it go its own way. It can go its own way. Go its own way. Okay. See, now, when you see this done, it's hard to tell what I did, but this lets you see how the sausage is made. All right, and then we're going to cut that like so. Make sure everything is down. Make sure we really do like that. We do. So on my real sentiment now, I'm going to stamp the sentiment again. This is for reals. This is for all the marbles. Okay, the other one was just practice. Here we go. I'm going to put it down in the corner as straight as my highly calibrated Mark 1 eyeball will do. And then we're going to add a little bit of stitchery. I have the Pebbled Path. I don't know what this is called right now. Stampin' Right marker. And I'm just going to make some faux stitches along the edge. I don't have a mat, and it makes me a little twitchy to have just a piece of paper without something defining it. So this is one of my go-to embellishments when I don't want to put a mat on. I really didn't want a mat. I wanted something as if I had cut it with a die, sort of, but not. Okay, and so we're going to just do that all the way around, like so. And don't get too head up. There's no way to make these perfect. I mean, they just aren't going to be perfect. But if you hand sew something, it's not going to be perfect either. Okay? You guys, I have to tell you something funny. It really kind of made me laugh today. Apparently, the United Chess Federation has determined that transgender men cannot compete in the women's chess division. I feel like I might ought to be offended. I'm not really sure. I don't know what that means. I just laughed and laughed and laughed. Okay, now I'm going to put some dimensionals on my card front. I like to do it like that because it means I'm not having to think about where the dimensionals are on this piece to avoid being by that twine. Does that make sense? I'm going to put another one right there. And we'll pick up these little covers. I know, Sharon, right? It's crazy. I don't know. Weird. Okay. Actually, to be quite honest, I didn't even know there was a men's and women's division of chess. We just got through watching the series The King's Gambit again, and there were men playing with women. And so I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's a new thing. Okay. So now the only trick is you want to line up with your, your sample, your guideline piece, like so. There we go. Now, you'll never even know that piece was there, but you know where everything was supposed to go. And so now this guy is going to go here. He's all going to go on a Misty Moonlight card base. So I'm going to put that on so that when I'm putting my owl on, I can make sure that his wing can extend past the card front, but not past the card base. Okay. So let's put a couple of dimensionals on this guy. There's the last dimensional off of that strip. Here we go. I'm telling you what, guys, I go through dimensionals like cray-cray. No, not chest. Chess. I don't know, Mallory. I just don't even know who decides these things. I mean, I don't know. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. All right. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody by laughing at that. If you're a chess master and you see the point of that, I'm apologizing straight up. Okay, here we go. Straightening that on there so that I can get this how I want. There we go. I can hear you guys oohing and awing. I just know you're oohing and awing. And then I have some 2325 in color dots, and I'm going to add a few of those, as in 3. I'm going to put one there, and one, I'm going to put him right there in the corner. No, I'm not. I'm going to put him right there like that. And then I'm going to put one more right there. There we go. And there's our card front. Done and done. All right. Okay, now let's get the innards. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate it. And I am going to stamp Mr. Owl. He has a stamped equivalent from the stamp set. We're going to stamp him in Pebbled Path ink down in the corner. And I'm going to do the same on my envelope front. I really wanted to use the pine bough image in the stamp set, so I spent about 10 minutes trying to figure out how to force that in there, but nope, it would not work. It didn't work, and it just was dumb. It was dumb. Okay, now let me show you what I'm going to do. I don't know why I closed my ink pad, because that was goofy. I am going to put a little bit of shading on here, and I'm going to use a blender brush. Let's put this aside so that I don't have a mess. I'm going to take my blender brush and just tap it on the ink pad, and then really get rid of it, getting rid of most of the color. And I'm just going to put a little bit of shading on his wingtips, and I'm going to put them on this little row of his alternate wings. That's what I just named it, his alternate wings. Like that. A little more, Mary. A little more. Don't be so scared of it. There you go. And then I'm putting just a little bit in here, a little bit on his chest. And that's all. And we'll do the same on the envelope. I apologize, Melissa. I was certainly not making a joke about transgender folks. I was just stating something I read, and I apologize. All right, so we're going to just do the same shading on the envelope right here in his little alternate wings, and down here as well. There we go. And again, on this part where Stampin' Up! Has already put some shading for us, and I'm just kind of making a little addition right here. All right, and there we go. And that's all the coloring I'm gonna do. All the coloring I'm gonna do, and we're gonna put him together. Oh, I love this owl. I do love this owl set. I think somebody mentioned this was one of the first things that they saw in the catalog, and I agree. When I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, got to have that one. And the Fragrant Forest is the same. I love it. It's quite beautiful. I like the subtle background I was able to get with the white on the mossy meadow. Okay, so again, Pebbled Path matte. And then we're going to put it into our Misty Moonlight card base. And put a piece of the Winter Meadow DSP on our envelope flap. Okay, and then this guy's going to go on with some dimensionals. Okay, so now my stomach is knotted up because I see that right there, and I'm like, did you, even as you said, make sure you don't get this past the card base, did you do it anyway? All right, y'all, hold your breath. Be holding your breath. You'll be holding your breath, and I will be holding my breath. Right, that really was what it was, Jean, more than anything. I didn't even know there was such a thing as multiple divisions for chess. I didn't even, it never occurred to me. Probably because all of my experience with chess is from the King's Gambit. Oh, Julie, yes, I understand. Aren't you glad you have that discount? Oh, you know what? Let's be sure I'm doing that right there. Okay. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right, so there's our card. And then I've just got a piece of the Misty Moonlight paper from the DSP, and we're going to use it on the flap. And we'll be done, skay. And yes, I will be back on Saturday. I do not know what we're making yet. That would be crazy. I'll probably know tomorrow. Possibly. Hopefully by tomorrow evening. At the very latest. All right, so there we have that. Isn't this a great masculine card? Or even not masculine. It's just a great neutral card. Not frilly, not anything like that. Oop, I didn't turn the corner good. There we go. Okay, there we are. And there we have two very pretty winter cards. Thanks, Carol. All right, well, guys, I appreciate you spending part of your Thursday with me, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Am I doing Zoom the Craft Room on Thursdays? I do have a Zoom the Craft Room this evening. That is correct, Julie. There will not be a Zoom the Craft Room next Thursday night. Alrighty, I appreciate it, guys. Have a great weekend, and I hope I'll see you on Saturday. Thank you so much. Bye.